Welcome back. We are covering number 11 of 25 inspirational stories to encourage you in your business journey. Want to encourage you to fight off apathy and discouragement and all the negativity that comes with just living life on a daily basis, and also is compounded when you're trying to start a business or a project or complete a piece of art. I mean, you're always going to have that, and again, I'm hoping you're encouraged if you are doing things outside of business. But typically, if you're doing art, you're doing it to try and help at least pay for your supplies to start your next project as well. So you do have sort of a business, not just sort of, but you do have a business as well. So this should resonate with you, and don't be discouraged. I want to make sure that you all are encouraged by spending time here on this YouTube channel. I'm in it with you. Like I mentioned, when I first started the series, I had 6 subscribers on free advice from our small biz shout out here. I think we're up to 10 or 11 right now. So thank you for that. And I only had 34 on free advice from your uncle. And I think we're up to 37. So thank you all for subscribing. It is an encouragement, and helps with that valley of disappointment that's covered in the plateau of latent potential that's covered in our first video here in the series, which the playlist will be linked in the description below. So today we're covering Solomon Northup. And so despite what your background is, and again, I know there's a lot of tragedies out there in life that we face, and even in today's standards, but slavery is just one of the most horrid things that you can even think of. It still exists today, and in the traditional form of it, as well as in human trafficking. And again, it's one of the things that we all need to do everything we can to eliminate. And so anytime that's involved, you got to understand what that does to a person's psyche and physical nature and economic stance and standpoint. And we covered obviously George Washington Carver in a prior video here, which is another good one. But Solomon Northup, listen, this guy's story is incredible, and we'll get through this. But again, strongly encourage you to stick through the end and check out his story. So he was born free in Minerva, New York on July 10th, 1807 or 1808. And again, that tells you something that you don't even have the documentation to know what year you were actually born, right? And he was born free. And this is noteworthy because slavery had not yet been abolished by a long stretch, and his father was actually a freed slave, and his mother a woman of color. Slavery was still a thriving industry during his lifetime in the United States and for many years to come. His father ended up taking the last name of the slave owner who freed him, ended up moving to New York. And his father was a farmer who actually owned land and was thus entitled the right to vote. Northup also had a brother named Joseph. He ended up marrying a woman named Ann Hampton, and they had 3 kids together. And they ended up owning a farm in Hebron, New York, and both did various odd jobs to supplement income, as well by owning the farm. He was a craftsman. Northup was a craftsman and accomplished fiddler, and was hired throughout the region to play for various events. And that his wife did some other odd jobs as well. But again, I just want to take a quick note here to state that the reverse of having ownership, even early on in a family's life, is huge, because it then showed Northup, by the example of his father, and encouraged him to actually own land as well, right? And so when that's denied and not encouraged, the opposite effect happens, right? And that can be impactful for generations and generations to come. So I just want to make a little side note there. So here's the failure, and it's not a failure of his own necessarily, because again of how this happened, but he was approached by 2 white men on one of his tours, when he was playing the fiddle for an event. And they complimented him and told him how awesome he was with his musical ability, and bought him dinner, and offered him to go on tour with them for a pretty substantial fee. And obviously, as anybody who's interested in bettering themselves and advancing themselves financially, he ended up having dinner with them and discussing it. Nothing wrong with that. We've all, had business dinners before, but they ended up drugging him and during the dinner, and he actually woke and found himself a prisoner. And was auctioned into slavery. And I'm not going to get into the details, because I want to encourage you to read his autobiography, whether you buy it on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description for you as well. But his autobiography, 12 Years a Slave, details his horrible ordeal that he went through. And, you know, again, if you're looking for a book to read, this, as well as this is one of my favorite books of all time, as well as The Count of Monte Cristo. So again, like I said, I'll put a link in there, but I want to highly encourage you to read this. Again, it is Black History Month, and I think a worthy read, regardless of it being Black History Month or not. So, but again, I just want to highlight a little bit, you know, without giving up the details of the book, you know, some of the success that became of his ordeal. Um, he ended up becoming an abolitionist, and he wrote his memoir, obviously, and was and engaging on speaking tours regarding the horrors of slavery. And he was one of many abolitionists whose efforts in education of the North regarding slavery helped solidify the need to eliminate slavery and bolstering the political and financial support needed to endure the Civil War, right? I mean, that was just, you know, an incredible time period in our country, you know, and so there's a lot that goes into that, but it was, you know, just devastating, you know, both North and South, economically and politically, and I think still is emanating today in terms of where our country is. So his autobiography, though, Northup's autobiography, was adapted into a screenplay, and was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, winning 3 for Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actress in back in 2013. So again, highly encourage you to check that out. And you know, again, even if you're going through tough times, I guarantee you it's probably, if you're listening to this video free of choice, you probably have not endured this. So I want to encourage you to check out his autobiography, check out the movie. The book is better than the movie, as is in most cases. So, but before we go, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up, and click the alert button, and we will talk to you at our next video.